Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 100X Show, where we have big interviews with big people in crypto doing big things. And we would like to welcome none other than Adrian, Crypto Birb, to the show. How are you?
Yeah, hey, I'm doing great, thank you, and I'm really excited to be here for this very podcast.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of meeting you for the first time last year in Vegas during the Crypto IQ event with Charlie Shrem. So tell people, who is Adrian?
I definitely recall that well. This entire event was great, and speaking my keynote on the stage with people like you, with like Scott Melker, and whatnot, like attending all the panels was a great experience. I'm definitely looking forward to repeating that. Um, when it comes to who I am, my name is Adrian, right? I'm 27. I come from Poland. Since 2017, I've been actually the only founder and the owner and CEO of the Birb, which is my brand. That was created in response to actual demand from people because of the crypto boom that was happening, and ongoing in 2017. And that actually just pushed people to need more, I would say, educational services for investors because of the crypto popularity at that time. And that was the actual trigger. And now we are here with the team of 14 people, with many contributors around, with insanely huge community for traders, multiple brands involved, and we are just starting. We are just starting to actually get our steps towards the blockchain. I would say global adoption on our end and our activities within this field.
That's great, man. That's great. Congrats. So basically from one man to a team of 14 in pretty much a few years.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes, it's 3 years. It's
now,
amazing.
now for those who don't know, right? Crypto Birb, your Twitter is crypto_Birb,
Yeah, it is.
BIRB,
Yeah.
right? So he has blown up on Twitter as a trader, right? Because earlier this week, I basically asked my audience, who's the best trader you know? And lots of people were tagging you, right? So I said, you know what? We have to have this guy
Yeah.
on the show, right? Because
Uh-huh.
he must be doing something special if lots of people are saying this guy is a great trader. So kind of tell us, how'd you get into trading?
Yeah, I appreciate the great words. Well, the entire, I would say, history of me getting somehow involved in crypto, although more passively, it all started in 2014. Uh, because of my background, which the main background is the chemical technology engineering. Then only recently I managed to actually complete my second master's in the top school of economics, within this financial, just aspects of of project management industry, and the thesis on Bitcoin technical analysis. So it was quite a bit controversial, but all in all, it takes me back to 2014. And while I was in my engineering studies, I had actually many friends that were directly involved in IT, in programming, because of the being geek interested, in blockchain. I mean, the people, the friends, when we were actually, just chatting over some parties, and they were like, "Oh fuck! Like, did you hear like what Bitcoin did? Like, it dropped, it smashed like crazy, right?" And it was extremely hot topic because of the MT Gox collapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it was for many people, and just from hearing that, I slightly first of all got to know Bitcoin, but for me, it wasn't really until early 2017 of April that I got actually actively interested in that, right? Actively, which means I simply joined to trade the altcoins when they were actually just starting, all these massive rallies of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So
perfect timing.
before yeah, it was a good time. Before that, I used to focus more on the paper trading for currencies, right? I would start getting interested in the actual economics of the global, of the global economics, and how financial markets work. But it wasn't, as I said, until 2017 that I actually actively started engaging, and then coming up with more and more ideas on how to start, just bringing value to the people around in the industry.
That's great. That's great. So now can you maybe at a high level explain your trading strategy?
Yeah, of course. It's actually very interesting because I've studied many books and many actual like trading stories and many different strategies. Um, and it all evolves. I mean, the entire market does always evolve, right? There is no way the same strategy would work for you over and over again across any single market that you would go. So by definition, any strategy that you actually just take for the market, well, it needs to be suited well for the market, right? You would not play Forex and trade Forex the same way you would trade cryptocurrencies. You will not trade stocks the same way you would trade commodities, right? You will not trade, interest rate market, same way that you would trade, like there is a weather market where you actually just do weather forecasting and you just bet for weather. Like, I'm not sure these are like weather futures, but yeah, but that's actually, you can do that, right? So all in all, any market would require you to have like a different strategy that would need to be combined with the actual research beforehand, right? So for me, my strategy that I kind of like am training with right now is medium time frame momentum swing trading. Okay, so I tend to trade mainly medium term swings that take between 3 weeks, 3 months per trade. And I trade based on the momentum, right? And the momentum is actual like a price, an actual trending pattern, right? It lets you measure to what extent the trend, the price directional movement, and whether or not it does have the steam to push further, to push forward, or it actually just kind of like expires, and with being ready to reverse. So I do watch the momentum. I trade based on my indicator, which is called Birb. It's free on TradingView for anybody willing to see, and it combines the momentum, it combines the stochastics indicator, and combines it also with the Ichimoku foundations, I believe. And it's quite useful and suitable, I would say, for momentum traders. I love it, and it's working well to me.
Great. So it's called the Birb Trader indicator on TradingView. Now, where can people find that?
It's Birbicator, yeah. Birbicator. Just like that, yeah.
Kind of like bourbon.
Yeah, almost.
Almost. Okay, so where can people find that in the trading indicator? On TradingView or on your site?
Yeah. So this is a custom indicator, and I believe you need to have like some sort of like a paid plan to have access to custom indicators on TradingView. But for those who have it, they don't need to pay. They just go and type in the indicators section, like Birbicator, right?
Okay, yeah.
Birbicator, just like Terminator, but with BIRB at the very
Okay, now I find it very interesting. You said that you trade between 3 weeks to 3 month time frame. So basically, you're a very long, at least to me, you're a very long term swing trader, right? Because typically when people think of traders, they think of day traders, right? So the fact that you're holding for up to 3 months, even, I mean, that could be almost just like you're almost an investor, right? Just with active portfolio management. Anyway.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. I mean, typical frames that they put, at least by just quoting, let's say, John Murphy. Now he would put such a frame that anything below 3 weeks would be classified as short term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between 3 weeks and 3 months is going to be medium term, and 3 months plus, it would be more of long term. While at the same time, when we talk about like legacy markets and commodities and stocks, it all happens very often much slower, right? So more often than not, when we talk about long term, at least from my just like an experience, on regular markets, on traditional markets, it would just mainly mean like long term investing, just like Warren Buffett, just did with Coca-Cola shares or Amazon and whatnot, right? So years and years in a time, decades.
Okay, now. So you also call yourself a chartered market analyst, I believe, or Some
technician. Yeah,
technician, right?
technician.
So could you maybe explain to people what that is, that term is?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So first of all, I'm a CMT1 graduate so far. CMT, which stands for Charter Market Technician, and it's actually actual designated like a title of of market. I would say like an expert to an extent, right? And CMT itself, just like other I would say designations like CFA or IFTA, and whatnot, they will get you more often than not many different levels and grades, I would say, of the certification. But all in all, this is to certify that there is there is the first level of the entire designation within the CMT association completed. Um, Actually, if it hadn't been for the virus, I would have already been CMT2 because it was supposed to be held in June 4th, but it was postponed, which I hate because otherwise I would have been already, I guess, within this year until the end of the year, I would have been the complete designated, CMT. So I wish the virus was, was not the case, but it
Yeah.
was. So but yeah, this definitely helps understand the actual economics, I would say, and more of behavioral finance, behavioral economics,
Mm-hmm.
combined with technical analysis and fundamental analysis to actually provide you with good portion of research for any sort of investment you make that makes the investment more profitable more often than not.
Yeah. Now, was that something you had to kind of take a online class or in-person class and attend over time, right? What was the process of getting ready for that test?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, so you do have a couple of actual, I would say, ways to go there. And, you could technically, obviously, sign up for some sort of like online classes. I'm not sure they are actually just giving the opportunity to attend physical classes, like in a classroom. Um, but one way or another, I was actually, because of my, having some certain, just level of knowledge before I passed this exam, I was more focused on collecting the information, collecting, just the full scope of info over the markets within the CMT1 book, right? Which is like a huge brick, like,
Mm-hmm.
stuff to read, right? Um, and then there was the exam, which lasted, I believe, 2 or 3 hours nonstop of 140 technical questions. But it's not that TA you would see on crypto Twitter. It's not like just about, some squiggly lines, colorful triangles or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's more of the, I would say, Wall Street type of technical analysis, right?
Okay, very interesting. So kind of different things, like what, like shows pricing formula, things like that.
Yeah, also, yeah. CAPM, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was more. This level itself was not fully focused around. I would say like the portfolio management, the just the way you would do for actual like an accreditation, for financial advisors. It's not that. It was mainly to guarantee that you're aware of the actual basics and the foundations of the of the actual market analysis, right? But the most popular knowledge in the most popular books is definitely not equal and not the same that you would see over the CMT course, that I can guarantee.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, because that kind of reminds me of me taking the Series 65 investment advisor exam
Exactly, right?
last year. Okay,
Exactly.
cool. So next question. Why are you so popular very quickly on Twitter? Like, what do you think has made you popular? Like, is there something you've done differently in terms of your, I would say just the way you create content or just analyze the market?
Mm, it's a good question. I think it has to do a lot with being able to predict quite accurately Bitcoin bottom of the depression of 2018 December. And that was actual time when I was tweeting about it almost the entire year ago, entire year earlier, in January, February, the same year, 2018, when everybody was just, you know, shouting like 100K, 1 million tomorrow and so on, right? I was actually looking down, and I was looking down between 3 and 4K, which had happened 1 year later. So people seeing that had actually, well, caused the huge inflow and, you know, of new followers at that time, during this depression of 2018. And yeah, I think this kind of like brought like a huge increase, like this huge increase, exponential increase over the followers. But it all started actually fairly around the, you know, peak of the market in 2017, when I was actually doing multiple like altcoin charts and whatnot, and they were all like super profitable because many of these were profitable back then. So yeah, this, you know, made a lot of money to the people, and that's actually how they, I believe, gratitude by following, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Now that leads to the next question. What's your take on Bitcoin right now and the market?
Well, that's another good question, Ian. For the Bitcoin, you know, I think it's right now, first of all, completely no lack of interest of day trading for me, right? Why, despite me being, you know, the medium term trader, I do trade short terms when their opportunity arises, like, you know, just the way it was with altcoins recently. And I do have my long term investments, right? I do diversify in between different markets. It's not only crypto. I do own quite a good portion of silver, gold. I do invest in real estate. So there's a couple of I do invest in commodities and stocks. This is more well, just a diversification, right? To optimize your entire portfolio return, the ROE on that. But for the Bitcoin, past 3 months, we've been actually having one of the least volatile periods and episodes in Bitcoin recent history. And past 3 months, we've been going flat. We've been going sideways after a very short V-type reversal in the March 13th. That actually just caused like this entire rush and you know, just thrust over from Bitcoin for about 180% ROE, right? ROI. So this, all in all, after such a sharp reversal because of the market crash of the black swan, right now we're seeing consolidation after that, right? So if you actually just zoom it out, then consolidation after a sharp movement more often than not brings the continuation of that. So long-term wise, by combining the fundamental factors, which, well, first of all, you know, brings the entire, I would say, intrinsic value of Bitcoin, which is quite different to what you would see over the regular companies like stocks, publicly listed ones, right? Because there's like this human capital, there is like different mission, vision that they will realize and provide a value to the people. But the Bitcoin itself fundamentally is mainly combined with the mining cost, I would say, fundamentally speaking. And right now, within the recent halving, right, the third halving in the history, you would see this difficulty, like this, you know, mining difficulty boost, and block rewards, you know, that just went halves. And this altogether, historically speaking, so far, all these have brought nothing else than all-time high in every single cycle peak that we had, right? And the current long-term, I would say, macro situation is that we have had already since 2008 4 market bottoms, but 3 market peaks, right? And out of which every single peak was an all-time high. So technically speaking, being a technical analyst, I need to assume that history repeats itself to an extent, right? Or at least rhymes. Because like human behavior is super repetitive, right? People never learn, if you think about it. That's what pushes them to make the same mistakes over and over again. And that's what shapes the market cycles, right? Between the euphoria and euphoria peaking and the, you know, just depression, FUD, fear, uncertainty, depression, whatever. So altogether, to me, technically and fundamentally, long term on the macro scale, Bitcoin is bullish, and I think we are about to see all-time high because of the reasons that I said. Medium term wise, it's lacking direction, right?
Wait. So all-time high for Bitcoin when this year?
I'm not sure if it's going to be this year, but all I know, there is this seasonality effect that more often than not pushes Bitcoin to the limits, to the boundaries, to the extremes in November, December period. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it has to bring in this year, because I think there's going to be some solid movement. And if you think about it, Bitcoin actually, was was born in 2008, right? At the soaring depression, at the soaring actual like a market crash, right? At the soaring recession. So fundamentally speaking, also economically speaking, there is some quite good portion of similarity to these times, right? And this was something that actually pushed Bitcoin to be so popular back then, being it some kind of like a hedge to global economy, which was collapsing. So we are kind of like seeing similar case right now.
Yeah. I mean, so because our team has been pretty neutral or bearish on Bitcoin in July, and also probably end of June, just kind of based on our models, because Bitcoin, historically speaking, has had rough Julys, right? So this month hasn't really been much of a surprise per se, but the next thing I want to talk about is alt season, right? I mean, there's so much excitement now with alts. What's your take on altcoins and DeFi and everything that's happening in the space?
Yeah, so if you think about it, that's actually very interesting, because altcoins, I'm not going to say these are derivatives to Bitcoin, but these are somewhat like underlying assets, perhaps to an extent, around the Bitcoin. But what I mean truly is every couple of months, there would be like an investment opportunity, like a cyclical investment opportunity coming for altcoins, right? So in 2017, entire 2017 was like I would say, market discovery for the public, right? So then it showed its intense potential, its dynamics and huge investment opportunities. Many millionaires were born that day and actually that year. But since then, this entire 2017 was of general Bitcoin, overall Bitcoin but altcoins also, discovery and hence interest and demand and pump. Then you had the ICO like a season, right? Where 2018 early, there was like tons of ICOs. Every company was doing an ICO. It was extremely popular because there were many. There was actual just all-time high for the market capitalization. The most money were sitting in the market. So the interest itself was allowing many companies and brands to rise. But it kind of like vanished to an extent, right? Then every bubble that happens on altcoins does have its end one day, right? Mm-hmm. And all in all, then later you had the masternode season, right? This entire 2018 April to like June, July period was concerned around like the masternodes. Then a couple of months, it was just it gave the time to actually just calm down for the market. Majority of the masternode projects kind of like died. Then what came in was some more like I would say IEO season, perhaps, right? You would see some IEOs, initial exchange offerings, that were extremely popular. Then you would see like this overall exchange bubble, right? That you would see so many, utility tokens for the exchange, that's one, but the actual exchanges where they were appearing left and right every single day. There are so many exchanges, like the exchange market is extremely saturated, right? And so this itself means it's impossible to stay forever in the market when you're competing and you're on the losing side to an extent, right? So this somewhat of a bubble, I think it's also well, on its way somehow to I believe to end, and just to show who wins and who owns the show. But then you had DeFi, right? Then you had the decentralized finance projects, and the altcoin season, if you think about it, happens every single year, every couple of months. But people were often so focused on searching this mythical, this legendary 2017 that that made them miss this entire show that was ahead of them just happening, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, so we have 3 questions we'd like to ask our guests on the show. So time to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah.
So first question: who are 3 people in history that have inspired you?
In general, right? It's not
Yeah.
about the financial stuff.
Yeah. Now outside your family and friends.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So first of all, I think it's going to be, well, Warren Buffett, right? Who else? It's going to be Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett, for the reason of highlighting so much what is delayed gratification skill competences, right? And for trader, for every respectful trader, I think any successful person in the world, you will need to be able to have this competence, this skill that you can master of delayed gratification. And it comes often with this somehow marshmallow test to an extent, but not the one that you build on the project management sessions, like this marshmallow tower, but this marshmallow test that would actually just put kids in the room, in a closed room. You would give like 1 marshmallow on the table, on the plate, and ask them if they want to get 1 right now, or if they prefer to wait a few more minutes or a few more hours and get 2, right? So Warren Buffett would always invest his own time and with any sort of like activities and business correlations, whatever, now only to those who would pick those 2 marshmallows, right? Because of the delayed gratification. And that's what I think makes and shapes people to be successful entrepreneurs and successful, units, I would say. So there's Warren Buffett. There is, for me, being the Polish person, there is Pope John Paul II, right? Our Catholic Pope, who's of insane like an influence to me, and he's always been, just simply, right? Because, for example, I myself, I'm a Catholic. I do sing in a men's choir of cantores minores,
Nice.
which is, yeah, this is a men's choir. I mean, it's extremely rare to see, just men singing. Most often you see like mixed choirs, or, just more like female stuff. But here, the men's choir, it used to be boys choir, right? But all of them actually just, grew their own families, and they are like about around 40 right now, 40-year-old. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, so John Paul II, the Pope. And then I think the third person, if it's not family, that pushed me to these, that's pretty intriguing. But I think it would have to do with what I have been doing, with what I had been doing before I started crypto, which was, I'm quite sure nobody's going to know him, but his name is Wojciech Fabianowski. He was my chemical technology, just course supervising professor. And he actually taught me what engineering means. And by not necessarily just, like knowing, hundreds and millions of books or texts on chemicals and whatnot, but from the actual point of view of combining the entrepreneurship and the technology, right? I mean, the technology of chemicals and this entire engineering, because engineering would always come with with the optimization as the keyword, right? So as an engineer, you need to optimize processes. You need to find how to, make out the most out of the least, right? So you want to have the least substrates that you would put in some reaction in a factory or whatever. Then you want to have as much product as possible out of it. And this is engineering to optimize that. And I think that generally shaped my mind enough so that whenever I see the markets, I can actually just perceive the market in the same way, engineering way.
Okay, yeah. Very, very interesting. Okay, so now you basically still kind of view the markets as an engineer, right? Kind of like having that same perspective. I would say same thing with me, right? Because my background is, I have a master's in computer engineering, right? So everything I view in the world is through the lens of an engineer, right? Even though now I'm basically working as an investor, but I still have that problem-solving mindset, and I think that's what most engineers have in common, right?
That's what I mean.
They think they can fix everything, right? Everything is just a problem that can be solved.
Exactly, 100%, man. Correct.
All right. So next question: what are 3 books that have inspired you?
Another good question. I think first of all, that we need to be obviously, this John Murphy book, Technical Analysis of Financial Markets, just to name the book out of the let's say pool for traders, right? There's going to be Steve Neeson when we are talking about this entire let's say industry.
How's that spelled?
Of candlestick.
Nison.
Steve Neeson, yeah, Neeson.
Okay.
And his Japanese candlestick, just charging techniques, I believe. But this is extremely interesting view of the market by reading the candlesticks themselves. So it's kind of like this Eastern school of technical analysis, this Japanese style. That they would see like this, multiple colorful like this names for the candle formations, like dark cloud cover or bullish engulfing, like 3 white soldiers, 3 black ravens, and so on and so forth. But it's actually just, I think, very interesting to see and associate that with an actual, just the way Japanese people would do the market being the battlefield between the bears and the bulls. Right, so this is the reason you would see many like army formations, like candlestick patterns, something like that. It's super interesting. And then the third book, I think it's going to be Sabri Subi. That would be very interesting. Sabri Subi is an Australian entrepreneur. And he's dealing with sales. He's the CEO and owner of King Kong Consulting Company, I believe. And he had this great marketing book and sales book that actually opened my eyes on how this entire, I would say, business industry looks like. Because it's not enough to have a good idea, but you need to actually be able to distribute the product and sell the product nicely, right? So I think as entrepreneur, myself, I need to know what I want to do. I know what I want to deliver to the world, but transferring an actual realization of the idea is a different story. This book definitely helps me in realizing that, right?
So how's that spelled for our audience?
It's Sabri Subi, right? Brisuby, right? That's his name and surname. And this is going to be, let me just actually quickly put in, Sell Like Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, Sabrisubby. And the book is called, I'm seeing here, he has Quantum Growth or?
Sell Like Crazy. Sell Like Crazy, it's called.
It's
like
crazy.
This red book. Yeah, okay. Sell Like Crazy, when you type it in, it's going to pop up. But I think overall, like,
Sell Like Crazy.
He's similar sort of person to like
to sell,
Grant
right?
Cardone, perhaps to an extent, right?
Okay, yeah. So I see here Amazon #1 bestseller, sell like crazy, how to get as many clients, customers, and sales as you can possibly. Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
actually, I think, this was actually just interesting because now I'm extremely skeptical. I used to be extremely skeptical, and I'm still am on seeing any sort of like paid advertising or just any sort of like product selling over the internet, over platforms like Facebook. But he's like a sale mechanism was so perfectly crafted that for me, not knowing completely who he was, right, I actually just just saw this by scrolling Facebook just like you regularly do perhaps. um I saw his like a post, right? I read this post and did exactly what he wanted me to do in a way, right? I followed this perfectly well, not knowing, of course, just it was crafted this way. But this was like this whole like this whole sales funnel, right?
Mhm.
That would get literally take you from completely not aware like a prospect into a paying client. And uh and I bought his book. And I bought his book, me not knowing who he was, being extremely skeptical about any sort of like stuff like that. Now buying just something out of nowhere without any sort of like need. I bought the book and I was like, what the fuck? How did it happen? Right? I want to
Mhm.
know that. And it's extremely, I would say, satisfying, just to read on that. But it's very, I would say, expansive, like a how to call that, like a report perhaps over the actual markets and the industry of business, how it all works marketing wise. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So those are 3 books our audience can check out. All right, then the last question. What are 3 actions you've taken that have transformed your life?
Oh, okay. So um, first of all, I think it would have to do to an extent with the dance classes that I used to go to. But it
Okay.
was early, like super early, like years ago. I cannot remember, like 15 years or more. Um, and it was like some, just some regular like hip hop classes, like, all
Mhm.
the fancy moves and all that. But this kind of like um, helped me show myself to the people. This would let me and allow me to show off, to not be afraid to go public, go in front of everyone and just do something, right? So
Mhm.
it would let me tackle like this fear that everybody would have, always, because this is in our nature. So I think this would be the first thing. The
So so
second
so
thing,
so 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 basically kind of getting you outside of your shell to kind of just
oh yeah,
okay,
yeah,
makes
comfort
sense.
zone or whatever.
Comfort zone,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think this was one of the like very early, like this breaking points, right? Because from since like this is how it started. Then I actually, because for me being like this musician also, not only singing in the choir, but I used to own my own band to an extent. I do play the guitar, sing, there's a lot of that. Um, and then starting from dance, I would later switch to singing and to music, to producing music, right? Because one day I actually just realized, damn, I don't want to use music, I want to produce music, I want to create something, right?
Hmm.
Rather than just use that for dancing. So I actually just discovered all the music production to an extent, and this composing. uh, this again pushed me over the stages. I would perform on stage every just month, every 2 months,
What kind of
singing and playing the guitar.
guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
now, now is that available anywhere? People can just kind of learn more about the songs, the guitar
uh,
stuff you're doing,
yeah. Yeah.
or just
Yeah,
on your Twitter?
to a very limited extent, on purpose.
Hmm.
Now I believe got rid of majority of these videos some longer time ago, because I would not perform on stage like alone just the way I would do 3-4 years ago, because simply I'm running out of time already without it. But there are like a couple of just like if you put in my full name, which is Adrian Zduńczyk, Zduńczyk, then there would be like a couple of videos, but it's not something that I would push, just or promote right now because of just simply that being there. But I do have a couple of plans around it that I cannot really like disclose as of now. but yeah, there are high chances I would make it all public in some time.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, it's been a great show. Any last words for our audience?
Yeah. Thanks. First of all, thanks for for having me on this show. I'm super impressed with all the developments that you've been also having on your end. I think building the brand is extremely hard thing and tough to do. Just last week, just the way we spoke in Vegas, right? And I do hope that they unlock and take down all the limitations to meet, and have a couple of drinks again in Vegas or around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but for the takeaway, for the final takeaway, I would say you never stop learning. You always search what to improve. You do that no matter what, no matter how many people would be against you. Now, if there is an entire world against you, you need to keep going. You can never give up. So that's my point. Yeah,
well said. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching this show with Adrian, Crypto Birb. So follow him on Twitter, crypto_BIRB. I mean, he's definitely one of the best crypto traders out there. Our audience has told us. So definitely do check him out. And if you like this interview, be sure to subscribe, like, share with your friends, and just spread this knowledge with the world, right? Go out there, evangelize Bitcoin and crypto. And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit, to the moon and beyond. Thank you very much.
I love it.